cancer is a little bit merciful. It allows you time. It gives you time to think and to process and to say goodbye. Um, and I know that the worst thing ever is to admit that you're going to die. I mean, I haven't had to face that yet. I haven't had to face my own mortality yet, but watching people that I love face that, um, being willing to understand that might happen and being willing to leave behind messages to the people you love. The most tender things I have are I kind of forced her. She didn't have the energy for it, but I was like, April, I need something from you. Like, can you leave me a message? And she left messages of the most tender things you've ever heard. It's like too much to watch them, but I will always have those. I will always have April's last messages to me, to her kids, and we know how she felt about us. We know that even in her darkest days, she cared more about us than her own suffering. And I think knowing, just having those tender things from her, right? Those keepsakes that I will never lose, right? I will never forget. It keeps it real, right? Like it makes it, you just know how they really felt.
Welcome everybody to the Like a Diamond podcast. We're so grateful to be here today and with our very special guest, Chase Clark. Last week we talked about cancer and specifically my cancer and how it impacted my life in a number of different ways. And I had painful experiences, some funny experiences, but today we're continuing that theme of cancer and how it can impact our lives in many different ways. So first, I'd love to introduce Chase and have him share a little background, a little bio about him, his family, what he does for work. Chase, again, welcome on the Like a Diamond podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Chase Clark, and sadly, I'm no stranger to cancer. It actually started, my mom lost her mother to cancer when she was 16. Oh. And then I lost my father to cancer right before I turned 16, the day before. And then I lost my wife most recently in 2022 to cancer. So it's touched my life in multiple different phases and generationally. And so it's one of those things where you just have to face it sometimes. But luckily, it hasn't stopped me from living and having a lot of happiness, aside from some of the sorrow.
Yeah.
My name's Chase Clark. I have a family of 4 kids. I just had a baby actually last month. January now, so it's a month and a half ago. Thank you. And so that's been really fun, brought a lot of joy into our lives. And nice to see new life, and adding instead of subtracting. I know what I'm all about these days. And so, how old are your 3 older kids? So I have twins that are 10, just about to turn 10. And then I have a 9-year-old. And then we have the new baby. So we got kind of quite a range there.
Yeah.
But so the 4 kids.
That's awesome. What do you do for work?
I work in marketing at a company that sells radar devices. We do traffic management all over the world, and I do marketing for them.
So, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you had those movies where people hack into traffic signals and turn all greens. Is that true? Is that possible?
It actually is possible.
Yeah, I bet. It doesn't get that good.
In Tennessee, a brilliant teenager who did that in Tennessee, and he got major fines at that.
Wow. So
really? I think he ended up in prison.
So, oh my gosh.
You can do that, but it's very hard. You have to be highly skilled, and also at a certain point, what's the play?
Yeah, just to prove you can do it. Yeah, that's awesome. So first of all, yes, you are no stranger to cancer. That sucks. I'm going to just say it. That sucks. You mentioned your father had cancer. What kind of cancer did he have?
He had lymphoma.
Okay.
So he developed lymphoma in his up in his neck. And when we were younger, he had it it was probably about 4 years before he actually ended up passing away to cancer that we found out that he had it. And our parents decided to kind of keep it secret from us for a while because they didn't really think we could process it and handle it as kids. And which, I'm kind of grateful to, because sometimes ignorance is bliss. And so we didn't have to quite deal with it yet. But then the cancer kind of developed to a point where he went through treatment, and it got to the point where he needed to shave his head. And so they kind of had to tell us, right?
Wow.
Hey guys, dad has cancer. He's been fighting this for a while. He has to shave his head. He's going to be brave and, take it all off. And so at that point, we started to realize, that he actually was sick and something was wrong. And then the chemo started to take effect, and he started to lose some weight, started to look a little different. And then he ended up in the hospital. And it got bad enough that it actually got into his bone marrow. And he had to have a bone marrow transplant. And there's a whole sequence of stories there. But essentially, we experienced a few miracles, and his life was saved on the operating table.
Wow.
He got, I think it's Pseudomonas. It's basically a killer bacteria, and his whole body was riddled with it. He was about 400 pounds, swollen with liquids, and just completely. He was just a big balloon of disaster. Right.
Oh my
Cancer was everywhere in his body, and overnight it all disappeared.
Overnight?
Yeah. And so the doctors couldn't explain it. They wheeled him out of the room and were like, well, he's alive. And we actually got a whole nother year with him with no major issues. But then the cancer returned and it came back with a vengeance. And then he ended up succumbing to cancer.
So how long was it between when he was diagnosed and when they told you? Do you even know? Have they gone back and told you? Because it seems like
I tried to do the math myself. Yeah, I think so. It was about 4 years that he spent sick.
Really? And you didn't know you didn't know for 4 years?
We knew about year 2.
Okay.
We knew that he was actually.
Wow.
And how old were you?
So I had to have been 12, I think.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
Did you have older siblings?
I had one older sibling. She's 3 years. We're all 3 years apart. So I got
Okay.
a sister who's 3 years older than me, and then a brother who's 3 years younger than me.
Was there ever any resentment that like you should have told us sooner, or you said maybe it was better that they hadn't?
I
Or-
think the ignorance was kind of nice. I think it just would have caught a new stress. We wouldn't have actually known what to do. We had nothing we could have done. We weren't doctors. And so I think just being able to just enjoy time with our dad, because he made an effort to really spend time with us and just make sure we knew that we were his number one.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Wow.
So how old were your other siblings at the time when they found out?
my sister was probably 15 or 16, and my brother, he was a lot younger. He was, maybe 9.
And what was everybody's reaction?
I think there was a state of shock. I think our dad, he's Superman. Like, he can't be sick, Doesn't make any sense. And this cancer? He's going to beat it. Like, there's no way. And so I think it was just it was naivety. But we didn't really know because cancer really meant. So I just knew it wasn't great. But we were confident because my uncle was our oncologist. I was my dad's best friend, my mom's brother, and Bill Nivley, and he's just an awesome doctor. And so we felt pretty confident, that he was going to take care of our dad and we were going to be fine.
Okay, yeah, that's different that your uncle is the oncologist, which is good and bad because maybe he's not telling as much as he knows because you're family, or maybe he is. I don't know if that was, I guess, because you've done 2 rounds of this, at the time you were a teenager, did you notice any benefit from your uncle being the oncologist, or maybe you were too young?
I did, because he could actually come do in-home visits, right? He could come check on my dad at the house, come to our dinners, just be like, hey, Stuart, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
Wow.
And, we'd see them talking and kind of going over things in the house because they were literally best friends, like golfing buddies. They traveled together. And so, yeah, they were very, very close.
Wow. So that would be a totally different experience being treated by his brother.
Yeah, brother-in-law.
Oh, brother-in-law, his brother-in-law, yeah. Okay, as a teenager, I know different stages of life, we all accept this kind of news and the reality differently, right? As a teenager, how did that affect you, your emotions, your ability to you kind of had to grow up faster, I'm sure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think what I remember, right, is when my dad got sick and I noticed that he was kind of stuck home a little more. And then even after his bone marrow transplant, he was actually kind of trapped in the house. He couldn't go out and about because he was forced to stay away from people, right? But when we were well and we weren't sick, we could be with him. And so I would kind of spend my time home from school with my dad. I would just kind of go in his room and read books next to him, or just talk to him, or watch shows or sports with him, just whatever I could do to spend time with him, because I just felt I needed to be with him, Of course. So that was something that I'm really glad I did, because looking back, I couldn't have got that time back.
No.
And so I spent a lot of time with him. But I do think that the one thing I did is, it actually didn't happen until he passed, but I noticed that I shut down emotionally. I stopped letting myself feel because I was so afraid of how bad it would hurt if I let it all come. And so I just kind of bottled it up and just became kind of a stone emotionally. And I could do that as a kid. I guess I was just good at compartmentalizing or something. And it worked for me. But I later found in life that was not the right call. But at the time, that's the way I knew to survive.
Did you have any family around you that noticed that's how you were dealing with it? Did they ever express concern? Like, man, Chase isn't really crying. He's not mad. He's not blowing up.
I think that kind of we all were so shell-shocked by all the things that were happening that I don't think anyone had the spatial awareness to know that we needed it. And I think too, just like that time of life, I don't remember therapy being a thing. I don't remember counseling being a thing. People just didn't talk about their feelings much. And like my grandpa was very stoic. He did not talk about feelings. And so I think that my mom was kind of conditioned by that. And I think that's how she had survived her mother passing from cancer, was kind of by just kind of trapping it in and holding onto it and not letting other people be affected by her sorrow. And it wasn't necessarily the healthiest thing to do, but I think that's how she survived. And so we kind of took after her and Louisiana did that. Yeah,
That was just everybody's coping mechanism.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
But then my sister needed a very different kind of help, right? During that whole thing, she needed someone to constantly talk to her, to work her through her feelings. She needed to emote. She's a very emotional person, and she wasn't getting that from anyone in our family. And so it took actually a lot longer for her to figure out how to deal with her feelings, because she was older, more mature, and just she felt more than my brother and I at the time. So, and my brother's only 12, 13 when he died. So.
So you mentioned one miracle, a huge miracle, that the cancer had just disappeared. Are there any other miracles along that road that you would like to share?
That's a pretty miraculous story.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, they're a little too tender.
Yeah.
But there's a couple little moments in there. Just that's where I discovered that prayer is real, that God is real, that there are angels, that there's people on the other side helping out. I've received hugs from people I've never met.
Wow.
So that I couldn't see, but I could feel them.
Wow.
So, things that they let you know that the other side is there.
Interesting. So you could have, as a teenager, completely gone the other way and say, God can't be real. I hate God. But did those tender experiences, answers to prayer, feelings from the other side, ancestors, whatever, angels, did that change your outlook at the time? Did it help you with those bitter feelings or what, you could have gained?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was an optimistic enough kid that I didn't choose to be mad at God. It just didn't seem to be an option for me. And also I had seen so much good that I just wanted to believe that. I always thought that there would be a saving. Once we had that miracle, right, of him being saved, I was certain it was going to happen again, right? Like I just believed it was going to happen again. And so that was really hard when he was in the hospital and it just kept going downhill, right? Once he was finally in there for good and we never got to bring him back out, it was really hard, right? And because I just had to that's when I think the full shutdown emotionally happened. But I knew that God was there and I just couldn't deal with the grief, right? I kind of just put that off and said, I'm not going to deal with this right now. But I knew that God was there and he was real. I just couldn't face my grief. So I didn't.
Was there any members of your family that stopped believing in God or doubted him?
Not during this time. We all stayed pretty involved. And I mean, the beautiful thing is when you're in a ward that cares, everyone loved my dad. Everyone loved my family. And they were so good to us. I have so many members of the ward who are young men's leaders or people that just genuinely cared about us, that would stop by, who would come say hi to us, who would, home teaching companions that I had that were former stake presidents and things. And they just would always look after us. They'd take us to lunch. They'd try to take us golfing or just do something with my brother and I to kind of let us know that they loved us. And we were just very taken care of in that way. So it was really nice.
Wow. Did you feel, I mean, you were 16 when he passed. So it was 4 years from diagnosis to when he passed, it sounds like. As a 16-year-old, you had an older sister. Did you ever feel that weight of responsibility? Man, I got to be the man of the house now.
Oh yeah, the big time. I think that it started settling in after especially when I was getting near mission age, I started noticing
which is around 18, 19.
Yeah, right around 18 years old. I started realizing if I'm going to leave the house, I have to make sure I've left kind of things in order before I go. And so I did feel some pressure to make sure I was being a good example to my younger brother and just kind of being as stalwart and helpful and good as I could to help the other members of my family just get through it all. So
wow, I mean, that's a lot of pressure for any teenager. That helped you grow up fast.
It did.
Faster than maybe you wanted to. You feel like you ever missed any teenage life? You feel like friends are out partying or whatever? And
I'm really grateful in ways. And I'm also I wish I had done a little bit differently, but I mean, I just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I chose to pour myself into work. So I worked a lot, and which took me away from more of the opportunities at school. Like I never joined any clubs. I wasn't part of any of the teams later in high school because I was just so focused on like, I have to figure out my financial future. I have to make money so I can go to college. I have to get my life in order. So when I come home from wherever I go, I'm going to be ready to hit life, running. And so I think I was stressed out about how do I make my future work, because I didn't have the safety blanket in the same way. Like my mom did a wonderful job kind of keeping our family together and keeping things going. But I knew that if I was going to be responsible for my future myself. So
What other trials or struggles or challenges came up after your dad's passing that you didn't expect?
I mean, I think in relation to this, what we're talking about, I had this one experience that was pretty cool. My brother and I was just about ready to leave to serve a mission for the church.
And where'd you go?
Christ Latter Saints. I went to Madrid, Spain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we were out working in the yard, and my mom is like deathly allergic to honeybees. Like she just has a really bad allergy. And so my brother and I were out clipping some ivy off the side of the house that kept growing up the brick. And all of a sudden we heard a scream, and we ran to the other side of the house. And my mom had fallen on the ground, and she had been stung by a honeybee. So she was doing some yard work, and she was panicking, and she had an EpiPen, and she was shaking. She couldn't do it. So we had to give her the EpiPen and then load her into the car and drive her down to the hospital and get her in. And I remember just the thoughts running through my mind of like, oh my gosh, like, does this crumble all my plans? Does this mean that I have to somehow figure out a way to take care of my family? Like if my mom dies,
Oh, man.
I'm cooked. Like I'm not ready for this. I'm an 18-year-old. Like what am I supposed to do?
Right.
And so I remember being just kind of terrified and, all sorts of feelings racing through my mind because like I just felt this responsibility. I got to be a takeover for my dad. I got to fill the space. And I remember she got taken away like immediately as we came in if you've been to emergency room, right? Yeah. A lot of times they're just like helping people randomly and they'll call people in. But when they saw her come in and just like the way the state she was in and the look on our faces, nurses came, took her, and she was gone. And so they had her in a room and they were like doing everything they could to kind of revive her, keep her alive, keep her from suffocating. And I remember my brother and I prayed, and we received an answer that she would be okay, that she will live. And it was one of those first answers that I've received that was so clear. And then I could turn to my brother and be like, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah. And we went and tell each other what was said.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just one of those moments where you just know, right? You just know someone cares.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, super cool experience because,
Wow.
I mean, it kind of maybe was a hinge point in my life to decide what happened the rest of my life, right? It could have changed the course of everything. So that's kind of a pivotal moment in my life too. So
Thanks for sharing. I know
Thank you.
real men cry, by the way, and they cry, and it's okay to cry. I want everyone that's watching to know that it's okay to cry, but to be able to share that, such a tender, vulnerable story, it has to happen more. I think it's so healthy, but it shows that you still had faith in God in spite of what everything happened. And what better witness or story could you get to confirm of his existence? So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think the tendency for people to shut down, like you said, bottle up the emotion, blow up, act out, rebel. There's a whole spectrum of emotions and behaviors that can come from an event like this. It's very interesting. Yours clearly steered you, but as you bottled that, how do you feel like later in life did it come out? Because it always comes out. Either your body keeps a score, all of that energy, emotion, negative energy, it gets trapped in your body, in your cells somewhere, right? Did it manifest physically through like pain, weak joints? Did it, some point it had to have come out?
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I think that just being a boy and not having anyone really teach me how to deal with my emotions, like my brother and I think one of the ways that we got through was we had something to take care of. We got obsessed with Finding Nemo when we were kids, and I decided I've been working for all this time. Like my dad left a couple businesses behind when he died. And so one of the things we got into was raising fish. And so we actually got really big into fish tank commercially. So we had not commercial, talking like a really nice water tank, right? Like shrimp and all sorts of an eel and Jacques the cleaner shrimp. And I had clownfish and gobies and all that cool stuff. And those were kind of our little creatures. That was our world to escape into, and kind of, we felt emotion, I think, through like taking care of these creatures and keeping them alive. So I think there was part of that was really helpful for us. It was kind of healing to take care of something during that. And looking back, we had no idea that's why, but it just was beneficial. Like, we both recognized later in life that was beneficial. And then my brother and I were very good at sharing with each other. So we kind of, even though we wouldn't share a lot, we did talk.
Yeah.
But then what really ended up happening to me is, when I was in my 20, maybe 22, 23, I met my would-be wife, April, right? And she was a very emotional being. And I was kind of like, what is this? I don't understand these feelings you're having. Like, what is this stuff? And why are you having so many of them all the time? And I remember just having like struggles with that. And she's like, you have to feel things, Chase. Like, you cannot not have feelings. I'm like, I didn't cry at the time. Like, there was very little that could make me cry except for like talking about my dad. And so like there was not much that could actually get me to move from like my center. Like, I was just a rock, And I kind of pride myself on that, like that I didn't get down, I didn't get sad, I just trudged forward. But then she kind of broke through my defenses and taught me how to speak and like feel what I had gone through. And so as she kind of unwound the story from me of my dad, she helped me to actually learn how to emote. I learned how to feel. And I genuinely didn't know how. I was like, she was worried that I might have like some form of autism or something, because I was not good at expressing my emotions.
Yeah.
But I had sealed them in a vault.
For sure.
And she had to unlock that vault and let it out. And so she taught me for multiple years it took, but especially while we were dating, I had to grieve the passing of my dad.
Wow.
At 23.
So, and 7, 8 years later.
Yeah. 7, 8 years later, I had to figure out what all the feelings that I had just locked. Yeah. Just like smashed into a rock. I had to feel them all. And so I had to feel all of it. And so I remember crying a lot. I remember feeling kind of like a blubbering whale in front of her and just being embarrassed. Like, I'm so sorry I'm crying in front of you so much. And she's like, no, I love it. I'm picking it up. And, she was all about that. And so like, oh, geez. And so I was grateful that she actually made a safe place for me to feel emotion and let it out. So that was, I think, critical for me to actually heal and let it go. Just kind of move on.
Was that the moment when you felt like there was light again?
I don't know if I ever lost the light, but I feel like kind of like you said, I had bottled up all that energy, all that stored mess that I had kept. I was able to release a weight that had just been on me forever that I hadn't really noticed, but it was on there. It was there. And then when it was gone, I was like, oh my gosh, this is different, right? Because the one thing I did choose was to keep faith, right?
Yeah.
I never let my faith dwindle. And that was also, I think, one of the things that kept me going, right? I never let my faith in Jesus Christ and Heavenly Father go away. So that's always been a guiding light in my life.
Incredible. How are you able to hold on to your belief in God?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've had so many experiences with realities of the other side of the veil that that faith comes easy for me. Because I've also had some proof. I got proof, actual evidence of his existence and his love. And I mean, I think the other thing I felt is people, like the people who've always chosen to love me and show up for me and kind of be God's hands. I've had people do that for me, right? I had people prove to me that God is real and that he cares about me through other people too. So
it's incredible. So I think this next question I know is going to resonate with a lot of people, because a lot of people feel this. If you've lost someone that you love so deeply and they've been gone for a long enough period of time, you stop hearing their voice, maybe stop remembering what they look like, what the smell, the laughter. What do you do to keep close or to remember or to feel a connection? Is there anything you do to feel that connection with him still?
Yeah. I think that one of the ways I connect most with the things, my dad and who he was, is one, I mean, he was just a phenomenal father, right? He dedicated every minute he had to us, to spending time with us, to take us to the motorcycle shop, to go motorcycle riding with us, to take us to play tennis, to go golf with us, to watch sports together, to just all the different things. He would just carry us around. He was our butt. Like, he was our friend. He would take us everywhere, and he made us feel wanted and needed. And so every time I can do those kind of things with my kids and make them feel like they're my most important thing, I don't know, I feel like I'm honoring his legacy and doing something that he would have had me do. or something that I learned from him because he was such an incredible father. And even though I have lost my dad, he was such a good man and he taught me so many lessons in just the short time I had him that
Wow.
I feel like I mean, I don't mean it in a bragging way because he's dead, like he's gone, and that's awful. But he taught me so much that I feel like sometimes I've actually had a better relationship with my dad than most of my friends.
I understand.
Like a lot of my best friends had terrible relationships with their father, and they've had their fathers are here, but it would have maybe been better if they'd been dead. And so for me, I have nothing but positive associations and wonderful memories. And like all of my siblings all feel like we have this legacy to live up to that my dad left behind of just his goodness, his kindness, his loving nature, and how fun he was, right? So we try to make sure we are honoring that through that. And then some of the other stuff we try to do because of that is we try to get outdoors. We try to go mountain biking. We try to go golf. We try to, do everything we can to just enjoy life and have fun because, he died at 44. And my brother and I kind of have like this, like in the back of our minds, a ticking clock, right? We kind of have this countdown to 44. Like, what are we going to accomplish by 44? My dad left behind 2 businesses. He left behind a legacy for my mom. He left behind all these things that he taught, these lessons, a beautiful family. Like, even though he had to go, he accomplished a lot by 44. Like, he was not a slouch. He kept living. And so I kind of feel a little bit of pressure in a way, just like it's self-implaced, but I do feel pressure to live up to his standard.
Yeah.
So,
well, I never had the privilege of knowing him. Sorry, but I do know you. For those that don't know him, I think you're doing a pretty good job.
well, very nice of you. That's the best compliment you could say. Well, thank you.
So, sorry. He's a good man. And I had the privilege of teaching all 3 of your kids in church primary class, and I can attest you're doing a good job as a dad. So you probably always feel like the shoes are too big to fill, but I think you're doing a pretty darn good job. You're welcome.
Yeah. So we're going to switch gears a little bit.
Mhm.
Same topic, but April.
Yeah.
When did you meet? How did you meet? And how long were you married for?
Yeah. So April and I met when I was about 23. Maybe I'll just tell this story real quick because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Everyone always wondered, like, Chase, when are you going to get interested in girls? When are you going to date? When are you going to be like, when are you going to actually like show some interest in some girls? Because there were some that had shown interest in me, and I'd be like, yeah, like I don't have time for this. I'm down. And I just decided, like, I'm going on a mission. I don't have time for that. So that after I'll figure that out. And then even when I got back, I was kind of just like, like I'm going through school. I'm working. Like I don't have a lot of time to fit in these things. But I remember I was listening to a Colby Kalai song one day, and it was just like talking about like basically just this fantastical fairyland of love and like how wonderful it could be to be with somebody and being all excited to go be with the person you love. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. I ought to look into this. And so I think one of my superpowers in life has been my power of observation. I spend a lot of time just like looking and seeing what other people are doing, how they live, choices they made, and where it leads, consequences or benefits of how they chose to do things. And through that, I've been able to avoid a lot of trouble. I've been able to avoid a lot of mistakes. I've had kind of a perspective in life because I kind of think before I act. And as a teenager, I think that's less common sometimes. Yeah. And my brother was kind of an inverse in some ways. And, anyway, so I spent a long time kind of accumulating a list of what I wanted in the person I would end up with. And so I just made myself a laundry list of like, these are the typical things I would like in a person that I marry. And I tried to live up to that standard myself, right? It's like, I can't expect it out of someone if I don't do it myself. And that was kind of when it happened, is when I was living my best and I kind of set my perspective on what I wanted. I ended up meeting April. And we met at an activity with some friends. And it was kind of funny because I was interested in her. And at first I thought she was going to be way too old for me. Like she just wouldn't be interested in some young punk who just got back from his mission or whatever. And so I just figured like, oh, she probably won't give me the time of day. She's so mature and, put together. And then I was actually in the Elders Quorum presidency at the time, and I saw her age on there. Like on name, when I was making assignments, I'm like, oh, she's only 2 years older than me. Like maybe she'd give me a chance, And so I started kind of making my move, but I was so I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to play the game. And so I had some friends, actually JP Lebec right here. He was one of my friends in the singles ward, and we went camping. And so what ended up happening is we get to the parking lot, everyone's dibbing up in the cars, And JP just like, he pulled a maneuver and I didn't know what he was doing. He had like pulled some back strings. And so they actually loaded up all the other cars. So there was no room for April or like I ended up having to drive and she had to come with me because we were the only 2 cars left. And there was no room for it. He did great. And I'm so grateful to him. And then we ended up at the campsite. And then I was testing out a tent for him because he worked for Backcountry at the time. And so I had like a 2-man tent. It was a Big Agnes is what it's called. And I was in the Big Agnes by myself, just testing out the tent, And I was like, in no way am I sharing this tent with somebody tonight. And then April unzips my tent and she's like, well, I've been kicked out of the other tents. And this is the only one with room left. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So we actually spent the entire night talking. The entire night. And I was very shy. Like I was a little bit introverted my whole life and obviously didn't have a lot of experience talking to girls. And so for me, this was like, and like, I was pressed against the back. New York, I'm not touching. And, but we talked the entire night. And every time we started drifting out, these birds would chirp right in our ears. And so we joked that my dad was like poking the bra, keep him going. And so we ended up meeting from that. And then on the way home, I was like, look, this has been pretty good. Like, I think we have something here. Would you be interested in giving me your number? Like, I feel like we should try this out. And she was like, yeah, like that. Yeah, we should. And so we ended up spending every day from then on together. Wow. We got married 6 months later.
Really?
Yeah.
What an amazing story. So did he plan the tents being full too? Has he ever revealed that? Okay, so he had a 2-step.
Yeah. She even had her stuff in another tent. And one of the girls was also in on it. And she came and threw her stuff out of the tent.
Oh my God.
So it was on the floor when she came after brushing her teeth and had to go find a new home.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's pretty funny story.
They were playing hardcore matchmaking.
Yeah.
They were, and it worked. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So that's where our stories converge. Chase is actually a neighbor of ours in our neighborhood. And how long was it since before you were married and then when you moved into this home in this neighborhood? Because this was really your dream home that you guys built together, right?
We got married in 2011, and then by the time we actually got here in this house, we started building it in 2018 and then got in by 2020.
Okay.
Late 2020.
So 9 years of marriage and you got to your dream house.
Yep.
And you were in this house for how long until you learned about her diagnosis?
So we ran from 2020 to, it was Thanksgiving of 2021 is when we started noticing something was wrong. She was super healthy. Like she was like a vegan.
Yeah.
She was like hard charger. She was always doing exercise. She worried, she just was always busy doing something, right? She was a busybody, right? And did a really good job taking care of herself. But then she got this like kind of a flu or something. And then it just never went away. And we're kind of like, why is this going on? Like, why do you still have a fever? How is this possible? And but it was fevering in a way that was like, she felt it, but she displayed no symptoms. Like her temperature wasn't off, but she felt this like hot, cold thing happening all the time. And she just felt kind of sick. And then she'd feel every so often when we'd eat bread, like in particular bread, she'd feel this stabbing pain inside. And it was kind of like her, like in her stomach, like, cause I was in the middle of getting ready. Well, I was getting really good at cooking Indian food. So I would make homemade naan and I'd make different like parathas and different breads and things. And so she loved it, right? She would always eat those and whatever I was making. But then like 30 minutes after we eat, she'd have this searing pain just in her stomach. But she just figured like, man, am I like gluten intolerant or something? Like what's going on? Yeah. But we didn't think anything of it. Like she was so healthy. Like what? That wasn't anything, it was just like some weird bodily pain, it was gas or something, we now. And so, I mean, that would have been our first warning sign, but we didn't see it, right? We didn't understand it. And so that happened a couple months before this actually happened. But then her brother is an emergency doctor and he was back in Ohio. And so we had driven out to Ohio to see them and have Thanksgiving with everybody. And while we were out there, he just kind of started asking her questions like, hey, what's going on? What are you feeling? Where's the pain? Where is it manifesting? Why do you think you have this fever? And by the end of the visit, he just kind of got like more and more quiet, but he wouldn't really tell us anything. And we're like, what does that mean? Like he's usually willing to talk. What's he getting quiet for? And so we went home, and then on the way home, she felt so awful that I ended up driving the whole 30 hours by myself. I got to do it all because she just felt horrible. So I'm like, both like, let's just bust it. Let's get home. Yeah. And we had little kids basically. Yeah. Right? They were pretty small. And so we just got home as fast as we could. And then by the time we actually could get appointments, we started investigating. it was about by Christmas, I think. Everything started to come together. We started to have, the screenings and the tests and the little, basically the pregnancy thing, the sonogram?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound.
Yeah.
They did an ultrasound kind of her liver, of her stomach, of her colon, and they kind of seeing that there was something wrong. Like they could see that stuff was off. And then she went in and got a CT scan. And through all that, we started to just kind of put together the pieces. And then finally on January 5th, she went in and had a colonoscopy. And at the end of the colonoscopies, she is inside, kind of waking up from the drugs, right? And they told me come back in about a half hour, and then you'll be able to talk to her. But there had been enough warnings and things going on through there that I just walked out into the car and I called my in-laws, her parents, and they were out on a mission in Tampa at the time. And I said, hey guys, like, I'm really worried. I think this is really bad. Like, this is not a temporary thing. This is terrible, right? This is really bad what's about to happen. And I kind of just started panicking. And I said, am I going to be a single father at 35? Like, is this where we're going here? Like, is this what's happening? And they're like, Chase, like, don't go there yet. Like, let's find out what's happening. And, but I just spent some time crying and just kind of having a panic attack, during that. And I guess there's actually one more, precursor to this. We had gone to a hospital to get like the scan, right? Cause she was having all this pain, like this searing pain kind of in her side. And it turned out to be her liver. And when they had done the scan, the nurse had seen the scans and she came out to the car with us and I put April in the car and she's like, close the door. And so I closed the door and then the nurse just whispered to me, she said, prepare for some of the worst news of your life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you take that? Like that was awful. And so I remember crying in my closet after I put the kids to bed, well away from April, like 60 feet away from April in the house, trying to get, as quiet as possible, but just screaming my guts out basically because I knew it was going to be bad. And so I was kind of gearing up for war, like I knew that I was like, oh my gosh, it's back. Like I'm doing this again, sick, just sinking feeling came into my stomach again. It's like, am I really going to have to go through this again? Like watch my favorite person die, like that's not something you want. And so anyway, and I tried to be hopeful. I tried to be there for her as her fighting companion, but like, man, I knew how cancer ends sometimes. Right. Yeah. And it's really hard. So it was, that was kind of where I was at the start.
What kind of cancer was she diagnosed with?
So they found a huge tumor in her large colon. It was in her transverse colon, just right in the center, big old tumor that had been growing for maybe 2 years. And so and if we had seen any of the signs, right, like we might have been able to like resect it and do something about it. All of that's obviously hindsight.
Yeah.
But that would be my warning to anybody. If you have weird pain in your body, get it checked out. Don't wait. Don't think you're just going to tough it out. Go see if it's like pain is not good. That's your body telling you something's wrong. So look into it. That's my PSA for the day. Because maybe April could have been saved. And then the problem is that the tumor had grown so long, it had started to seed into her liver and into her lungs. And her liver had actually developed so many different lesions, cancer lesions, that it was innumerable, was the number they gave us. And we're like,
oh God.
Oh, okay. Like these are not good things. Like don't inspire a lot of hope, right?
Right.
And so that was really hard to hear. News like that. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. So did they give a stage? I mean, 2 years of development. Was it technically stage 2, stage 3 at that point? Did they tell you?
Stage 4.
It was already stage 4.
It was already metastasized and spreading, right? So it was stage 4. Serious, right?
Gosh.
Do you have any idea how long the cancer had been in her body?
The doctor that did the colonoscopy thought about 1.5 years, 2 years.
But there were no signs even prior to having that
Sadly,
pain.
like when we started talking to people about it, the theory was that because she was so healthy and so good at eating fiber and things that would just keep her digestion running, normally if you're eating a bunch of McDonald's or junk, it's going to get blocked. That's usually how people find out they have colon cancer is they get a blockage, right? But she was so good at eating things that just move through her body that I think it just never affected her. She just didn't feel it, or she also was too tough to notice the pain and like do something about it. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many things I've run through my mind so many times, but that's,
So, okay, your kids at this point are how old?
They are young. They were, Ella was 4 and the twins were 6.
So you had an experience waiting for a while as a kid.
Mhm.
When and how do you share this with your kids?
This was a hard one. Because also like kids don't understand cancer by now. That's the boogeyman, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, they don't understand cellular structures. They don't understand things metastasizing, and
Yeah.
and so we kind of had to like. I felt like I just went like hardcore on researching. How do you teach this to children? How do you tell them about cancer? And April had found this really good book. There was kind of a way to explain happy cells and sad cells. And so it kind of walked through what a good cell does, and it performs its job, and it's the right color, and it does the things it's supposed to. But then when a cell goes wrong, or it gets angry, or mad or sad, sometimes they can turn into the cancer cells, and then they start breaking and doing the wrong thing. And we kind of started teaching them that this kind of thing can happen in your body, and this is what's happened to mom, and we're a little bit worried, but we're also trying our best, and we're visiting doctors that know the most possible. And so we kind of shared with them, and I think they kind of just looked at us like, huh? They're like, what is this? And then April was really worried about losing her hair and how that might affect them, right? And I mean, one of the few tender mercies we had was she didn't lose her hair. 1 in 3 people don't lose their hair during the chemo.
Oh, wow.
And so she never did lose her hair, but we had like read the kids' books about moms that lose their hair during cancer. And so we tried to do it through children's books to kind of relate it level on pictures and stuff. Cause I mean, their attention spans were goldfish, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't listen at the time. So
That's a good idea.
especially Ella. But yeah, children's books were helpful because they kind of break down the concepts into a very just easy picture level. So
Yeah.
So what kind of changes within your family did you have to start making? What did the daily life look like now?
well, I mean, April was kind of superwoman, right? She did so much.
She did.
And she also, I mean, getting into the house, she had stopped working when we had the twins. And then when we started looking at like our budget and how we're going to pull off the house, she had kind of like slowly started doing a little bit more work and got to part-time. And then during COVID, they kind of realized that she was a superstar, and they're like, we want you in here full-time. And she kept getting promoted and pushed up, and all of a sudden she was working remote full-time. And that kind of just happened during COVID because we were all home. And so that kind of continued, right? So she was working full-time, but then as soon as she got sick enough, there was just no way. There's no way she could keep working. Like she just felt horrible.
Yeah.
And the pain just started getting worse. It was just it just turned on. Like once we kind of knew what it was, it just got worse. It was crazy how fast it ramped up. And so she was done working. And the coolest thing was her job was at Leighton Construction. And it was incredible of a company that's of that size to actually care about someone, right? Like they could just like leave you behind and just say, all right, well, we're so sorry, see ya. But they just said, look, you are a part of our Leighton family. It was Leighton Construction. We will take care of you as long as you need.
Wow.
And so they kept her on salary. They helped her out while she was sick, and they would check in on us. And so that was so cool to have something like that, because that alone was just a big comfort to her, because she worried like, Chase, are you going to be okay? Like, are you going to be able to afford life? Are you going to be able to like keep these kids alive? I'm like, April, I got this. Like, don't you worry. When have I ever failed us before? And she's like, I know, but like we're stressed, And so we would have those conversations, right? Because you never want to talk about it. It's the last thing that you want to breach. But like, if you are stuck by yourself, how do you survive, right?
Right.
And so that was probably the hardest conversation to ever approach. But we'd have to kind of start dabbling at that, right? Because the reality of it was, right, knocking right at our doors. So
As I'm assuming, I know life sped up in certain ways, and then life slowed down, right? Tests and treatments and doctor's appointments and all of that probably just blended into just a blob, right? But were there things that you did in life to try to slow down and start cherishing? You mentioned with your father, you just stopped going to school and would be with him and read.
yeah.
What similar things, or how did life slow?
Yeah. I think we tried to really make sure the kids just saw how much we loved each other, April and I in particular, and just try to make sure that the kids could feel super secure in that, right? That like their parents love them more than anything, and they love each other. And that was kind of our focus through the whole thing, to not ever be divided and just let them show that we were a united front. And so that was one. And then I think the other thing was, one thing we tried to do is when she finished her first round of chemo, we tried to figure out a way we could get away with the kids and just like escape everything for a minute. And so we took them all down to Florida. We went down to Clearwater Beach in Florida.
Amazing.
And that's actually where the Armstrongs have been serving. And so they knew kind of the area. So we went to some Manatee Springs and saw, some of the beautiful stuff out there and went to the beaches. And so we had this wonderful trip where we could just be together, swim in the pool, go to the ocean, just incredible memories with the kids. And that was literally the last trip we ever took, right?
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful we did that because that was this the kids still talk about that trip. Like, oh man, Florida was so good, and they just have these fond memories of being with mom and me and, their grandparents were there with us. And so it was just such like a special time to just pretend that the world wasn't on fire,
Amazing.
So at what point in her journey did you think, oh no, this is really taking a turn?
I mean, the night that I talked to that nurse, right, outside the car, and when she told me to get ready for the worst news of my life, the day of the colonoscopy, right, was pretty bad. Those were hard days. I think that I also just wasn't ready to face it yet, though. Like, I was, trying to, pre-grieve as much as I could because I just knew I needed to let it all out. And that was the one lesson I had learned, right, with my dad. I had to feel my emotions. I had to let it out. And I feel very lucky to have some really close friends in my life that are just they're my brothers, right? Besides my brother, I have others that are my brothers. And so I called each one of them and just spilled my guts to them, right? Just told them my deepest, darkest feelings and my sadness, my grief, my hate, and my anger. I just had to let it out. I just had to tell them all the things I was feeling and just dump it, And they all were just I think that kind of shocked them, right? Because it was so jarring, the stuff I was sharing with them. But they were also good to just sit with me, just be there in just my moment of anguish and despair. And so the best part about that is I never felt alone, right? I had people there that I could call and talk to, and they would just listen to me, just let me be a mess for a minute,
Again, Chase, I mean, so many people round two kicked while you're down. They give up. They give up hope. I know you were a dad. You couldn't give up life, but it's so easy to blame. Like, okay, now what? You look up and you curse God because why would you do this to the second person that you love most in your life, right? Again, how did you not hate God?
Yeah. I had a lot of questions, right?
You have to.
What did I not learn the first time? Did I not get the lesson? Why do you need to keep chasing me? What don't know, what did I do wrong? Am I not enough? So I did have a lot of those feelings, right? They're not healthy. They're not helpful. They're not good. And they're not from the Spirit. They're definitely not from God. And so I had to kind of let those feelings come through because they're part of the grief, right? They're part of the stages. But I think that maybe I don't know. There's a moment I had after she passed. And maybe we're not there yet. I'll hold that feeling for a minute. I'll finish this thought and I'll say, let's come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, we're friends. We were close. We, from a distance, but from some closeness, lived and started to see and some of that pain. And I remember I actually had a chance to be with you. I think it was the night before she passed in your home, which was an extremely tender opportunity because I took so much strength from you where I was supposed to be there, trying to offer you strength. And I'm sitting here, and luckily, I mean, you were able to have April in your home, right? So she wasn't far away in a hospital bed, which, for good or for bad, maybe there was both. But I could not believe how strong you were in that moment and not knowing that the very next day she was going to pass. Yeah. But that's something that I will always remember and cherish and say, gosh, this is a man that I want to be like in that moment, I mean, heaven forbid she were to ever pass away. I don't know if I could be that strong, but you have these emotions. Now it's real now, now what? She passes. Now what? How long did it take for you to be pick yourself up off the floor?
I think, maybe I'll wind it back just a little bit, just to make sure it's, there's so much going on, right? I feel like I lived 2 years of life in 6 months.
Right. Yeah.
I remember when we went to the oncologist, our first visit, he's looking over our file. He's trying to get adept with what we did. And maybe even some backstory just a little bit on this. My uncle is like one of the owners of the practice we went to, right? Utah Cancer Specialists.
Gotcha.
And
The same one that said your dad.
treated my dad. And
So we actually really were hopeful that he would do April's. And he's like, April?
what happened with Stuart almost broke me.
Oh.
It's like, I can't do this again.
Oh,
And so we kind of understood, but we felt a little like, he can't do this. But he's like, look, I'm a blood doctor. This is not a blood cancer.
Yeah.
Let's get you to someone who's a specialist in this. And so that made us feel better. He's like, look, this is literally the guy I would want treating me.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had that kind of, anyway, that's kind of how we got led to our doctor. But as we were with him, he was saying like, okay, well, best case scenario I see is 18 months. And we're like, that's not what, like, no, like we're going to fight this. We're going to do everything. We're going to win. Like, how do we win?
Yeah.
And that was kind of our approach. And he's like, I don't think we understood how bad it was, right? Like as the more genetic testing we did, like she had BRAF, which was like, if you look it up, it's one of the most harsh, brutal mutations that exists in colon cancer, where it just is out of control. It's just out of control. And they have some medications that they try, but like eventually it outsmarts it and it wins, right? No matter what we tried, it just wasn't going to stop. And so I remember just being so shocked that like 18 months, like that's unacceptable,
Yeah.
There's no way. But you have the faith to move mountains, April. You're going to be fine. We're going to do this,
Yeah.
We're going to beat this cancer. And I think that was honestly one of the things that kept me so strong is that April had this just burning faith. She leaned in double into her faith and what she knew. And she was unwilling to give up on a dream of her being healed and staying here with her kids, right? That was what kept her going.
Yeah.
And I think that gave me a lot of strength through the whole journey, knowing that, if I could see the person who's actually suffering and feeling the pain, who's like in the garden with, the only person that knows how she feels is Jesus Christ, like it just was so sad to watch someone you love so much suffer, right? Just be right there watching her die. And it was horrible. And so, but to see her still believe, right? To see her still have faith, like I needed that myself. Like, even though I had been through this before and come through on the other side, I still needed to see her show faith in such a horrible time. And so I think, after she actually passed, right? Like once we realized that the miracle wasn't coming, that we weren't going to have this incredible, turnaround and it just was too late. I think that's when it started to set in. That's when like the reality of everything was just like, okay, the thing I thought, like my dread of being a single father, it's here. Here it is. Like I get to do this now and I get to do this without her. And she was my better half. Like she was the one who made me believe in life. Like she got me to feel again, And the best years of my life are with that woman, right? Like 11 years of bliss. It was incredible. I remember even after we built the house saying to her, like, man, like, I hope nothing goes wrong because this is perfect. This is perfect, right? And we kind of laughed about it like, oh, man, we shouldn't have said that, and lo and behold, here it came, And so those are hard things, right? That's really hard. But I remember in that time, one of the things she told me, one of the things she made me promise, was that I would never stop feeling and that I would make sure to reach out to people and talk about my feelings. And I'm really grateful for her for saying that because, I kind of wanted to go back to chase the rock. I wanted to just like rock up and just be this, this clamshell of strength, but, show my kids that I'm solid, but not show out my emotion to anyone else, And then I just realized I couldn't do that. I couldn't afford it again. I didn't have another chance to do that. I knew better. And so I kept just leaning on my people, right? I would just have late night chats with my friends. I would just call them after the got quiet. That was probably the hardest thing, honestly, is that stunning silence when you go to bed and it's like time to finally have time to chat with your spouse, right? It's like we put the kids down, everything's good, the house is put to bed.
Yep.
And hey, let's talk. Let's talk about your day. How was it? And just to have this eerie, deafening silence, you could hear the silence. Like it's horrible. That I still am like a little like shuddery by that, like just thinking of those feelings of despair a little bit. And so I think that I felt a little bit numb. I was numb after she passed. And it took me a minute to start to feel again. Like I knew that I believed in God. Like I knew it. I had too much evidence. I had too much faith, but I needed to take time to just be numb. I had to just sit in like this feeling of just, I don't know what just happened. And I have to be strong for these kids, but I got nothing else to give. Like I just gotta I have to just stay alive.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta do right now. And so that was hard. I just had to kind of sit in that for a minute. But eventually, I don't know. I went to some grief seminars and stuff, and none of it resonated with me. It just kind of was like, okay, like that's fine, good for you guys. I'm glad that works for you. But the one thing that kind of stuck out to me is it gave me hope of that the future would be better again. Was they talked about this analogy of when someone dies that you love, it's like the light in the room just gets turned off, right? It's like the light is just gone. But then over time, it's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be in one point in time. You're going to start to feel kind of the blinds open up again, right? And slowly grades of light will enter back into your life and you'll start to feel again. And that's kind of my experience is I kind of had to thaw. I went into like this deep freeze and then I had to thaw again. And I think the thing that kept me from kind of the kids, every day I had to wake up and face the music that I was a father of 3. And if I didn't show up for those kids, who would? And so I knew that that was my number one responsibility, but then I didn't care as much about me, And so I had to figure out why I cared about me again. And because April was my other reason, And so that was hard to figure out. But I think that eventually it just kind of, I realized I needed to get back to feeling again. And I missed the feeling of closeness to the Heavenly Father. I needed to connect with him again. And it wasn't easy to reconnect. I thought that maybe I could just kind of plug back in and it'd be fine. But I just started going back, showing up to church, doing the things, just kind of doing what I could to be there at church. And I think everyone was scared to talk to me, scared to approach me. But what they did do is they didn't let me forget that I was loved, Like you guys are some of those that I remember fondly during those times of you showed up, you talked to me, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable to talk to somebody who's just lost somebody. That's what you need most. You need people. You need people to show you that you're cared for, that people love you, and that you're not alone. And I think that is kind of what helped me thaw a little bit, is people just kept loving me and kept showing me that they love me and were better to me than I deserved.
Nice.
And I feel like through that, I kind of realized all right, I've wallowed a lot in this and I need to pick myself up and get moving again. But now I have an opportunity to be this for someone else, right? And so I think that's kind of the approach I've started to take in life, is that I've been blessed by so many good people that I need to be one of these good people back to other people. So that's kind of, I don't know, my hope
And that
these years of my life.
and that you have for sure.
Sorry, guys.
No, this is,
my gosh.
This is raw. This
Crazy.
is real.
Yeah.
This is life.
Exactly what we need. Yep.
Are there anything that you would say to someone who has lost a loved one and they're in the middle of it right now?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's so personal, right? It's so personal, what you're going through. And I'm so sorry. If you're going through cancer, I'm so sorry. It's horrible. Cancer sucks. There's a lot of bad words I'd like to say about cancer. But also, cancer is a little bit merciful. It allows you time. It gives you time to think and to process and to say goodbye. And I know that the worst thing ever is to admit that you're going to die. I mean, I haven't had to face that yet. I haven't had to face my own mortality yet, but watching people that I love face that, being willing to understand that might happen and being willing to leave behind messages to the people you love. The most tender things I have are, I kind of forced her. She didn't have the energy for it, but I was like, April, I need something from you. Can you leave me a message? And she left messages of the most tender things you've ever heard. It's too much to watch them, but I will always have those. I will always have April's last messages to me, to her kids, and we know how she felt about us. We know that even in her darkest days, she cared more about us than her own suffering. And I think knowing Well, just having those tender things from her, right? Those keepsakes that I will never lose, right? I will never forget. It keeps it real, right? Like it makes it, you just know how they really felt. And the beauty of now is you have video, right? So
Yeah.
while you're still feeling good, record your feelings towards your loved ones. And hey, I hope you win. I hope you beat that cancer and you get to watch that video and maybe laugh about it, right? Maybe you get to have fun with those videos later when you heal. But if you don't, guess what you left behind? You left behind a legacy of love and something that your family will never forget. So be willing to face it because your family needs it. They need that. So
No. Thank you
Thank
for sharing.
you. I just want to say you and April are some of the most incredible people we've known.
Yeah, having taught your children in primary, there's an experience. I don't know if I should tell you, but Ayla was in my class, and it was Mother's Day. And all the kids were supposed to sing a song about moms, right? And she looked at me and she said, "But I don't have a mom right now." Oh, I mean, I lost it like I did now. I said, "Oh, Ella, not only do you have a mom, she's perfect. And she's here. And I promise you that was hard." And although you've had those conversations, how do you keep the memory of their mom alive?
yeah, it's honestly probably the hardest thing to do through this because I feel like I'm trying to go forward. I'm trying to teach them resilience. I'm trying to teach them how to survive now, in the the aftermath of April being gone. I mean, the beauty of it is we're not a broken home. We're not a broken family. Like she left us loving us, right? I didn't break the marriage, right? She had to leave. It wasn't her choice, but she had to leave. She was called somewhere else. And so I think just making sure those kids know just how much they're loved, how much she loved them. And then, I mean, we're part of something that allows us to understand what happens next, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have the same uncertainties that a lot of people have. We know where we go, right? And I think that knowing those realities is really helpful to be able to testify to the kids of what's happened, what's going on, where it's going next. And it's, I don't know the right way to do any of this, but all I know is that there's a balance between
Sorry, there's so many thoughts going through my mind. I'm trying to organize it.
we've tried to figure out ways to not dwell on it too much. So one of the things we did for a while is we went to, I worried that my kids would feel super alone in the fact that they were the only kids at their school without a mom, right? That died from cancer. And so Chris Armstrong, she actually,
This is your in-law. Yep.
Mhm. She found that there's a group that actually is of people who've had a loss, right? People who experience loss have a place they can go and talk about it. So it's called the Sharing Place. And I think for a period of time, it was super helpful because what it does is it allows the kids to just be around other kids who've lost something or someone, right? And it lets them just see that, like, it's okay. Like, you're not weird, you're not some strange reject. Like, you were loved, they loved you so much, and they're so sad they can't be with you. But guess what? You can remember them and you can live kind of in honor of them, right? You can do things to kind of remember their memory. And so we went to that for a while. The only problem with that was they focus so they work so hard to help you understand and rationalize the death of that person that they don't let you remember that you need to figure out how to move on. And so you kind of keep dwelling in death. And it was all about death. And like after 3 or 4 months of it, I'm like, okay, I think we've jumped the shark. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're going to move on. We're going to start focusing on life. And it's hard because you have to move forward. Like, you have to move forward. And we have such fond, beautiful memories of the past. But guess what? I don't get to go back home and go hang out with April tonight. I don't get to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so we can't live that way. but we also have to try to remember her somehow. And so it's hard because I have vivid memories of a decade of my life, with this wonderful person with nothing but good memories. And so anytime I have something fun or positive or funny that I remember about April, I'll just bring it up like, oh man, do you remember like your mom, she used to love this, or she used to do this, or this was her favorite snack. And to this day, the kids actually still love to eat bananas, dip it in peanut butter and put a chocolate chip on top. That was April's favorite snack while she would study in school. And so like we told her little things, little nuggets like that to the kids. And so they have these positive associations with certain things in life. And I tried to just like mix that into their life, right? Like, hey, this was something she loved, or this was a funny thing that she used to say about this, or this was, and so they have these little things, and we made memory books of her and things like that
Nice.
to help them remember. Because I mean, Ella was 4, like she was a little shrimp. I have maybe one memory as a 4-year-old, and so for me, I worry. Like that was actually one of April's greatest fears, that she would be forgotten, and that's really sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad. And so I don't want that to happen to them. I don't want them to forget. But it's grown more complicated now that I've remarried, right? That's a whole other ball of wax, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what we try to do. And we celebrate her birthday each year as just like that's the day we remember, like her angel day, or, we just try to think of what we can do in her honor. So sometimes we'll bake cookies for people on the day she passed away, because she loved chocolate chip cookies. So I make her favorite batch, and then we take those around, to people.
Amazing.
So we try to do something like that to just give back to other people and do something happy, instead of just like, for me, sitting at a cemetery, I just don't feel anything. I don't know. That's not where she is. She's somewhere else. She's got a mission to do, and she's off doing it. And so I just don't feel that connected to a piece of grass. And so I think it's important sometimes to go remind the kids like, hey, this is where mom's body's resting, but guess what? We believe in the resurrection, And so I use that to teach kind of my belief to them, that she lives on. She's still here. She's still around. She's watching over you guys. And so, I mean, none of it's easy. I don't know if I'm doing it the right way, but I'm trying.
That's what matters, is you are trying.
I mean, most people would stop and say, you've been struck by lightning twice, and how rare that is. But I have to stop and admit that you've also been struck by lightning twice in the quality of women. I mean, you are now married to Becca, and for anyone, Becca is a world-class human being. And I don't know how do you get such good, awesome women, dude? Because April was a superstar, and Becca is just like another world.
She is a superstar, 100%.
So, I mean, your luck is bad, and it's freaking amazing with the women. So, tell it about Becca. That had to bring a whole different type of hope. You said it's complicated. I can only imagine, but she is a light to your family. I know.
She's incredible.
100%. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much there, right? But I think that, that simple concept of somehow I have found 2 of the most high caliber women I've ever met, and I married both of them.
Yeah. Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm just a schlub. Like, I don't know.
You do
Hopefully they said something to me. I lured them in with some funny comments or something. I don't know what I did. I cook really well, so maybe I was able to get them with my food. Oh, there you go. But I don't know. I got so lucky to have met both of those women. I mean, because also, like, if you remember back, my dating history is bad. Like,
Oh, good. Because you have a good batting average because the marriage and
there's 2 women in my life.
Oh, wow. And you're very bold. Oh, wow.
Like,
Hey,
so I don't know how I batted 1,000.
I know.
I don't, it doesn't make sense. And like Becca's even like, how the heck, like, like, how did you escape all this? Like, I don't know. There's like, I also had to go through some things that I would rather do.
They didn't escape a lot of other things.
I now leave in like a law of compensatory blessings. Sometimes things won't go the way you want in certain ways, but sometimes other things won't be quite as hard for you.
Yeah, interesting.
So I don't know. I like to believe that maybe there's something there, but also I don't know. Pure serendipity. I have to believe in that God had a plan for this, right? Like Becca, she never had been married. She never had a relationship that worked out. She'd had a relationship that lasted maybe, I think, 8 years with a guy. And it just kept having this weird yo-yo thing. And, is he interested? Is he not? And then he would be and then wouldn't. And he kind of wasted time in her life. But I'm kind of grateful for that guy.
Right.
Because lately he kept her,
Waiting for
he
you.
had preserved her, in a way. And I was able to meet her later in life. And I think if I hadn't known her already, I don't know how I would have figured it out. Like,
Interesting.
you don't have time to date as a single father.
Of 3. Yeah.
That's really hard. You have to find babysitters. You have to to getting out for an hour or two is very hard.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was very challenging. Even doing that with Becca, right? Like it was hard. And so I was so grateful to not have to do the online dating thing and all of that. And the fact that it worked out the way it did with Becca is just incredible. I will always be forever grateful for that.
So you knew Becca prior to
She actually worked all Wavetronics for a little while.
okay.
Not prior to.
I was still married to April, right, when I met Becca.
She started working at Wavetronics as the company has a bunch of different sides to it. And one of the sides is a learning and development side where Becca, she did in school, she did, she's going to kill me, instructional design. And so she did instructional design. So she can write coursework and like high level principles and like distill them down into a course and kind of teach people. And so she did that at Wavetronics. And through that, I never would have gotten to know her. But at Wavetronics, they had this thing where new employees would get together and like work on projects together. And so Becca joined a group of me and this other engineer that worked at Wavetronics. And we just kind of all got along really well. Like we would go to lunch every so often. We would just talk during this because we built some projects. We built some coursework and Becca was so good at it that we were just like, oh, like we can actually get stuff done with Becca. She actually knows how to do this. And so we just had fun doing that. But like, it was no more than just like, we would follow up on our daily life. Like, hey, how's your daily life going? You know, who are you seeing? What's going on? And we were just excited for her because we loved Becca. She was awesome.
Yeah.
But then she left. She went to BYU. They recruited her to leave and go run admissions over there. And if she hadn't left Wavetronics, I actually don't think it ever would have worked between us because I would have been too hesitant to ever even approach her. And I actually, when I was months after April had passed, I had a feeling like, ask out Becca Pike. They're like,
Really?
huh. And I just had to sit with that because I'm like, well, it's too soon. I'm not ready. Like, I'm still kind of on the struggle bus. I'm not feeling yet. Like, I can't do this. And so I just kind of let that, go away. And then it came back again. Ask out Becca Pike. It's like, huh. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that's a pretty good idea. And so once I was kind of a little bit, I was just doing better, right? And I was just choosing to be happy again. I reached out to her. We actually went to lunch and I did the ring check. I did the old like, hey, come to lunch with Derek and I. And I saw like, are you dating somebody? Yeah. She's like, what's going on over there? And then after, it's kind of funny. I texted her and said, hey, great to see you today. Like, it was awesome. It's so good to see that you're doing well. I know this is probably going to be weird. And I know that, I just lost my wife. Becca actually came to the funeral. Like, I didn't tell her. I was like, I just couldn't tell people. Like, I feel regretful of it. Some of the people I didn't tell from my just past life, I just didn't have the ability to reach out to people. And so, anyway.
It is what it is. I just couldn't do it,
But one of my friends had run into her, and so she ended up coming to the funeral. And so it was really nice to see her there and just, have her support and stuff. But after the date, I text her, hey, this is kind of weird. I know we're just friends. Would you consider going on a date with me? I know I'm a widower. Like, is that weird to you? Like, I'm also a dad of 3. And if this is too much, just say no. And I guess Becca had actually written up a full text that was like, hey, Chase, like, I would babysit your kids, but I don't think it's a good idea to date. Like, she was just like, well, you're so bad. You just lost your wife. Like, there's no way, And I think she was really worried, but then she had a feeling that she should just try. She should just try. And so she went on a date with me and she's like, well, I could help you get back into dating. Like, let's, I'll see what I can do. And little did she know, And so
You got 1,000.
you just had to guess, man. It was over.
Oh, there we go.
But it was not like a simple journey, right? Because like our dating time was very limited. And what I was also surprised, like, why does she answer me? Like, what's going on here? And she, turns out she was dating like 3 other people, I was going, so I had to weed out the riffraff, get rid of the trash. And then eventually she realized she was ready to date me. And this actually was one of those moments where it's like, it was just a tender mercy. January 5th, I'm brought up, was the date that we found out that April had her cancer, right? A year later to that date was the day that Becca said she was ready to date me.
Wow.
She had no idea of that date. But like,
Wow.
compensatory blessing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I don't know. It's just one of those moments. I just kind of like whiplashed a little bit when I realized that was the date.
Wow.
And, like that was such a horrible day. for me, but then it had been completely replaced with something so happy, you know?
Wow.
And so that was pretty cool. And then we dated for a while, and she actually is my first and second breakup. Becca is. I never broke up with anyone because I never dated anyone long enough to actually be dating them. And so she broke up with me, and she was like kind of like unsure if she was dating this other guy, had feelings for, and she should date him. And she realized that I was like, you know, I was very stable and steady, and she should, you know, I don't know. She came back, which was great. I was very happy about that. But then it got to the point where we were serious enough. Take a drink.
Yes, sure.
Where she realized that it was kind of, she had to decide, was she ready to take on children? You know,
Yeah.
like when you've never been a mother, to take 3 kids midstream, like that's no joke.
Yeah.
And a father who's still mourning the loss of his wife, like this is not an easy journey. And I mean, I kind of had the perspective of, I'm willing to be patient. Like I'm in no hurry, you know, I know how good Becky is. I'll wait. I'll do my 7 years of whatever, you know, I know what she is. And so I think I was so sure of what I wanted out of life. I think she kind of shocked her a little bit. She's like, wait, what? Like you're actually going to tell me your feelings and like share that you are ready for things?
Yeah.
And so I kind of shocked her in that way. That was very direct, but we broke up for a couple months. And then I remember a couple months later, I started the food truck when we were on that break because I had all this time in my hands. I'm like, I'm going. Here we go. And so I started this truck. And that was kind of one of my healing things, you know, it's just to like do something that I was building with April and start it. And
Yeah.
But Becca had come up and came to the restaurant. And after it, I just texted like, hey, so good to see you. And this was like probably 3 months after we'd broken up. I just texted her like, you know, wonderful to see you. Did you make a mistake? Like,
Oh.
maybe this is bold, but did you make the right choice in breaking up with me? And she was kind of slow to respond. And so I was like, but then she's like, I hate that you brought that up because I've been feeling that way.
Wow.
Hell. So we ended up meeting out for dinner a couple weeks later, and we talked, and she had some experiences that led her to, you know, rekindle things with me. And then from there, the rest is history. We locked in, and we just built something beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in that process, she's now adopted the kids, right? She's
Legal, lawful mother.
of the children. And we had a really special moment one night where she got to ask them, like we did this cool scavenger hunt in the house, and they found all these words. And by the end, it's message, can I be your mom?
Oh.
And it was so sweet. Like it was just one of those things where you just like, that's a happy day. That was a happy day. And so that's just like the inverse of all the things that we talked about earlier, right? It was such a nice, just positive thing.
And then to see the kids start to like call her mom and not just be,
It's not Becca anymore, right? It's not just the girl I'm dating. This is mom, right?
Yeah.
And it took Sophia a little longer, right? The older kids, it took them a little longer to like feel that way. But like she won them over through just love, you know, just pure love.
Yeah.
She did nothing but show them that she cared, and she does nothing but teach them good, positive things. She's just a good person, right? She teaches them wonderful things. And so, it's just been such a journey back from the precipice of despair.
Yeah.
And now I look at my life and it's almost like a dream sometimes, where I remember the bliss of April and the kids. And then I remember the sadness and the pit of being alone, and just like that silence, that deafening silence of just driving home from work and having no one to call, right? Going to bed and having no one to talk to. And like those just moments of just like, how is this my life? Like, how did I have the perfect marriage and it got ripped in half by cancer? Like, I don't get to keep going. Like, I watch people screw up their lives to divorce all the time, and it makes me so mad. They have a chance to fix something. They have a chance to fix it, make it right, and they choose not to. They choose to break it. And I know that there's complicated things out there, but when I see people break something they have control to fix, it makes me sad, you know? Because I didn't get that choice, you know? Like, I did nothing wrong, and it still broke. And so that was hard. But now I see where I am with Becca, and it's like, I mean, I can't imagine a better situation. Like, we just had a little baby boy together.
Yeah, you've been married for how long now?
For 2 years now.
Okay.
2024, we got married. So, yeah. We're actually...
This month we'll hit 2 years. So we're almost 2 years. And we have a new son. And so like to see
the flip of life, and just to see the light fully back on again, and just the joy in life again, and to say it's easy is every day is perfectly easy. It's not. Like, it's hard for Becca to have to deal with the fact that I'm madly in love with my wife who died. Right?
Yeah.
I love her so much and I miss her every day. And I remember things about her every day. And I have these vivid memories of her. And so sometimes I'll just have little things I have to share with her, like, hey, I'm feeling this today, or I miss April because of this, but then I also have to be careful that I don't diminish Becca,
Right.
and who she is and what she means to me. And so it's this complicated feeling, but like, also you don't think your heart has room, but guess what it does, right? Every time you have a kid, you have more room to love Becca is. Your heart is not something we can understand, right? It's not bound by our physical constraint.
Yep.
I think our spirits are so much more capable than we give them credit for, right? We just have a capacity that we don't understand, and we just have to unlock it.
Yep.
And so I think that, I don't know, I feel a love for Becca and April, that like, they exist at the same time,
And it's okay.
and it's okay. It's okay. And I don't understand everything, but I've had to come to the realization that I trust God, and I trust that He's going to make it right, and that He would never ask me to do something that would make me unhappy, and that the same will apply for Becca, right? Because we've had that question about, I'm sealed to Becca and April. How does that work out?
Right.
I don't understand. I don't fully understand, but I have faith that it will be okay. And I know that I'm happy. And God has brought me lots of joy.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to keep leading into that, I'm going to double down on that.
Chase, if there is a more perfect example of what it is to be like a diamond and to have experienced just soul-crushing pressure and heat and feel like you could be melted and just obliterate from everything you've been through. And then on top of that, the analogy, you got to get cut and cut and cut, just like you think, okay, now I'm fine on that diamond. Nope, you're not. I'm going to keep cutting you. And then that's not enough. I've got to polish you. And that polishing hurts. Why? Because diamond can only polish with other diamond, right? And it hurts. That is you. And I know you might not feel that way, but trust me, from the privilege of sitting over here and knowing you and hearing you, gosh, man, you gleam. And you do. And I want you to know that you have a strength and a power. And part of this episode is just letting people meet you and know that there's hope. You can get through it. You can do it. And if you're so lucky, you can be half the man that Chase is.
I know. I do feel really privileged that you were able to sit with us and share all of these, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the love and light and hope that has come from your experiences. So thank you.
Yeah, happy to be here.